Good morning and welcome to another episode of Unscripted and Unchained RPG Review. I am DM Bluddworth, and as you can see by the graphics, today's video is on the last day of Pride Month, and in my opinion, probably the most controversial and impactful contributions to the tabletop role-playing game hobby has been Rainbow Crystal Utopia by Venger Satanis. And as is his usual, his usual presentation of his work, it is often very tongue-in-cheek. It is absolutely gonzo, and it is always on the edge of being controversial and thought-provoking. And so, this 18-page PDF, I believe originally priced at $3 on Drive-Thru RPG, has brought about a week's worth of discussion and debate and argument and a lot of pushback, both from One Bookshelf, the parent company of Tabletop RPG, Drive-Thru RPG, and many of the pundits and YouTube channels and just commentators, whether it be on Twitter or whatever, just anyone remotely revolving around the tabletop RPG hobby. So this comes on the back of Venger Satanis's previous publication, The Good Samaritan, where it that really pushed the controversial issue of the Roe v. Wade decision made by the Supreme Court. And that was, of course, pulled from Drive-Thru RPG for a deeper review, and then they had suggested some revisions, which would have put it back on. But it was revisions that that Venger just wasn't in the mood to make, because it really infringed upon his creative license. And it's not like it was the first political agenda RPG product put on Drive-Thru RPG, so it was kind of bizarre that one was really put out there. So what Venger did was, in order to acknowledge or possibly celebrate, and most probably tongue-in-cheek, as is his norm, he created Rainbow Crystal Utopia. Now, it was pulled within an hour. No chance of it, being reevaluated and put back up again. And so Venger had announced that it was removed. But if anybody would like to get the PDF, that they could reach out to him directly, and through other means of a transfer of funds, he would then issue out the PDF. So I certainly did so. I had jumped on it actually because I wanted to do this video. I wanted to see what was so controversial and so political that this needed to be removed, and certainly not even offered to be replaced. So without further ado, and without many spoilers, I'm going to try not to spoil this in case you have you have it, you're looking to run it. It is an adventure, and without further ado, let's go into it. Now, if you are not familiar with Chalt, which is the setting books that Venger Satanis has produced, and these are through his Kickstarters, and they're very successful Kickstarters. And I just wanted to point out that these books, which are absolutely gorgeous, are and that's an original piece of art. These are absolutely gorgeous books, construction-wise, art-wise, and just the detail that he has in here. They are great source books if you are going to run just about any OSR game. Although he has a game that's really designed for this, and that is Crimson Dragon Slayer 2D20 and or D20, sorry, D20. And so this was the first installment of it. The second is Chalt Fuchsia Malaise, another setting book, more source for the Chalt setting, and more locations, more different faction types, more rules and equipment and all kinds of stuff included in this here. And there is a third on its way, and it's slipping my mind which one, what its title is. I don't know why it's another colored one. I should have known before I came on here, but I usually do these unscripted. So there you have the setting books. There's a 3-book set. The most recent Kickstarter is due to be shipped fairly soon, and so I can't wait to have my hands on all 3 of them. That way I can start looking to run some games using this setting as a backdrop for whatever campaign I'm running. Let's get to the controversy. So here we have Rainbow Crystal Utopia. And as I'm getting into this, I'm expecting to see something, or was expecting to see something that really jumped out as being overtly political and controversial and stuff. And, to be perfectly honest with you, it's just not there. All right, but I will go into a little bit more detail, again, without spoiling it. So one thing that Venger had done that is different from the last time. Oh, I can't see how I can zoom in there. Yeah. So he did not start off with a political statement like he did in his last installment of his PDFs on Drive-Thru-RPG. So he just goes in. This adventure is about a relic from beyond the Black Void, a rainbow crystal that acts as a virtual reality utopia for the consciousness of everyone granted access, a limit to 1,000 souls. In exchange for the promise of a reward greater than imagining, the PCs are convinced to steal the last remaining artifact within a series of caves inhabited by the Rainbow Folk. Now, before you jump to a conclusion, the Rainbow Folk are identified by the various colors of the rainbow, but their attributes and their even their activities and their society has nothing to do with the LGBTQ rainbow and what each of those colors actually represent. He is just using the rainbow as a as a topic of discussion. So it's using the rainbow and identifying the rainbow as being the focus of this adventure. It was released specifically during this month, and it's meant to give a like I said, a tongue-in-cheek acknowledgement towards, Pride Month, but that's essentially it. I mean, there's nothing else to it other than that. So I suggest PCs of at least third level due to the various hazards facing the adventure. And yes, Chult is a very harsh environment. It's a very Crimson Dragon Slayer is a very tough game system as far as the lethality of it, especially if you use Venger's other systems such as the Crimson Ascension, which was kind of like a critical hit system that escalates, Crimson Escalation, which increases the lethality of each of your rolls. Rainbow Crystal Utopia is a satirical work of art and creative expression. Any similarity to bits and pieces of actual reality are purely coincidental. So again, it's satire, it's tongue-in-cheek, but as he states here, it is, I don't think it's quite coincidental, but there's no true connection made to the rainbow in this and the LGBTQ community. Okay, so here we go. The idea of a parasitical afterlife, paradisiacal, blah. A paradise afterlife has only been around for 60 to 70 years, championed by the new gods and their prophets. The utopian world is named, that could be pronounced fuck all, according to various scrolls. In order to be worthy of ascending to fuck all, one had to undergo 42 trials. How much easier to be absorbed into magical crystal. All right, there is a priestess involved. The priestess is, she is hired by 5 thieves, the best in Argarbai, he loves hyphens as well, to infiltrate the Rainbow Caves and steal 3 artifacts possessed by the Rainbow folk. So the first was the kaleidoscopic crystal, colloquially known as the Rainbow Crystal. So that's the primary object that everyone is seeking to get. The next is the jaundiced robes of lurid hue, and the third is the mango raspberry key lime flavored dildo of second coming. So that is the most controversial thing in this, adventure here, is just the fact that he mentions a sex toy, and that's it. I mean, there is nothing. Now it's, and I'm not going to read through it because I do want to keep this fairly, fairly clean. Let's say this is definitely an adventure that is meant for mature audiences, and it was posted, I believe, or uploaded into the drive-through RPG section for mature audiences. So it's not like children had access to this, and this is not meant for children. All right, so we continue. So he goes through the rest of the backstory, and you start to see that the adventure, so the key for the adventurers is to go into the caves and retrieve the remaining parts of these artifacts, the remaining 3 artifacts. And once they have the 3 artifacts, then they will be able to enter into the Crystal Utopia. So that's the basic premise of this adventure. So we have lavender lizardworms, 2d4 in appearing, hit die 7, hit die 32 peppermint. I really do like the graphics that he uses for, the construction of his stat blocks. The system is very, very simple. I mean, all you really need is the hit die, the attack bonus, the number of attacks, the damage dealt, hit points, AC, and their saving throw. All right. And you have everything along with their special abilities and the treasure that they give. And he has that for each of the stat blocks that are in here. Here is the priestess. So you can see she's, and I'm not going to delve too much into because I don't want to give away too much. But she doesn't have that many, special abilities. But she does have plenty of magic items and items that you will want to potentially get your hands on. We have android, so this is a mix of sci-fi and fantasy, and it's gonzo, it's very strange, and weirdness going on here, so really interesting stuff. So we have androids, we have a red dragon. So the priestess will talk privately with the adventurers who look capable of obtaining the third artifact from the Rainbow Caves. All right. The priestess starts by offering the rainbow crystal alone, which is almost used up for the current occupants. All right. So remember, it had 1,000 soul capacity, and I believe it has like 987 souls already in there. So there's room for 13 more. Now we start getting into the various factions, right? So the Indigo faction. All right, and again, these are using the colors of the rainbow, and yet when you look at them, and I will read this specifically, so special. The Indigo Humanoids have a heightened visual clarity, such as seeing minor details from far away, a sense of smell, able to detect poisons and other scents, exotic and commonplace from a considerable distance, depending on the quantity and freshness, of course. All right. Each color has its own currency. The Indigo men carry D20 plus D12 plastic octagon coins of an indigo hue. If the PCs have earned their trust, the Indigo men will share knowledge of the dimensional gateway inside a hollow altar located in the Satanic Temple Cavern, but they don't know where it leads. All right, so again, no connection to the LGBTQ community in any way. All right, and actually a pretty interesting racial trait, if you want to call it that, having heightened visual clarity and seeing minor details from far away, and a heightened sense of smell that can detect poisons and other scents, exotic and commonplace. I mean, that's a pretty interesting trait to have. We're going to continue. So now the adventurers go into the Rainbow Caves. We have red humanoids. Reds are fighters among the rainbow folk, and the reds are the best of the best. While these two fight off invaders, while these two fight off invaders, the other colors may slink away to warn others. All right, so no other special abilities. They're the fighters of the bunch. Yellow humanoids. All right, so these beings are demolition experts. Yellows hurl mini bombs at their opponents. The Violet Witch, she can cast Purple Haze, 5th level spell that creates a disintegration vapor in a 30-foot radius from the caster. Those caught in the area effect, except for the caster, must make a saving throw or disintegrate. I guess you just die. So pretty powerful. Let's see. More red humanoids. So here we have the Wheel of Identity. All right, so again, this is where he gets a little bit into some more tongue-in-cheek. All right, so we have, and I will go through these. So we have the neopronoun, or new pronoun, the gender, and the vibe. So we have the pronoun of cake, and it is super empathetic. We have the fidget spinner as a gender, and they are negotiable by vibe. We have the polybi, non-negotiable. We have the outlaw fluid, which is revolutionary. We have the trans queer, which is impatient. We have the masculine of center, which is self-loathing. We have the gray sexual, which is chill, but also not chill. Demi-omnicore, sarcastic hellbitch. The feminine adjacent, which is delusional. The ghost vagina, which is crybully. Non-trinary quadriplegic, which is a terrorist vibe to them. And X, which is suicidal. So, again, tongue-in-cheek, yes, controversial, by intent meant to be kind of shocking, for mature audiences only. Okay? Blue humanoids. So blue humanoids have psionic abilities. They can levitate. Groupthink allows them to convince another humanoid of their radical ideas. All right. They also have 80% magic spell resistance. Okay. Green humanoids are contingent of the rainbow folk are sorcerers. Most notably, greens cast Emerald Flame. Does 3d6 damage to non-rainbow folk within sight, save for half damage. The clinic, so we have the Church of Secular Progressivism. Let's see. Under protection, therefore allowing you to enter. I'm not going to give too much detail there, but there's not too much detail on what the Church of Secular Progressivism is. But again, I don't want to spoil too much. The rainbow, so you have indoctrination, you have the rainbow witch. She has some unique spells. Still only 4 hit die, so not very, very powerful. Orange, I think that's the first time we've had orange. The contingent of rainbow folk are short, slender, and agile. When rolling saving throws for avoiding things where speed and or athleticism would be a factor, they get advantage. All right. Additionally, orange men are beginning to wake up to the performative virtue signaling and militant conformity preached by the Church of Secular Progressivism, either a little convincing or free of their orange man leader will get the orange faction on the PC side. Okay, so again, tongue-in-cheek, the orange people are in opposition to the Church of Secular Progressivism. We have a spawn thing, so he has some old ones here, so he's pulling from Cthulhu kind of stuff. He likes tentacles, so he puts a lot of things with tentacles in it. An ice cave, let's see, nothing really stands out there, and I mean, incredible art. I mean, just really cool, very vibrant. This is not ink friendly if you're going to be printing out the PDF. Rainbow Sorceress. She can do a color drain. Which kind of reduces their levels. That's pretty cool. There's a Demon Goddess, 13 hit die. All right, so that's the big bad. And so on. So So are there some words in there that are vulgar? Absolutely. Is it really derogatory towards anyone? Is there any hate in there? No, it doesn't rise to that level. I have a feeling that Drive Through, following off his last installment, was just like, oh, we're not dealing with this again. We're just going to pull it. I'm glad to have heard, and I don't know this independently, but I'm glad to have heard that a lot of people actually reached out to Venger and picked up a copy of this. I was certainly happy to buy it directly from him. There's some interesting concepts in here. I mean, whether I would run it like that, but it's an adventure that we've seen often, you know, go fetch the, go fetch the item and bring it back for your employer, and you will receive some kind of a reward. And there's various factions in here, which is kind of interesting, and they're well constructed. They actually make sense in the overall scheme of things. $3 for an 18-page adventure is not bad at all. And if you are running something that's a little bit on the weirder side, a little bit more gonzo, and you're looking for both elements of fantasy and technology and just gonzo in general, it's certainly something that you can reach out and hopefully get from some other means. So you can reach out to Venger on Twitter, which is how I got it. You could reach out on Facebook or any of the other means, actually directly through his blog, which he has. And as something that was kind of thrown together, tongue in cheek, and and written out. I might have came across that one editing issue that it's something that had such an impact. If you look at the fact that in response to this, One Bookshelf had basically created, a whole new measure of what they will allow on their channel, or their service, I should say. And others have stepped up and said, "Hey, you know what? This is censorship. This is curtailing the creative process, and it will certainly not be handled in an even-handed way." There are, I guarantee, other items already on Drive-Through RPG that have a political bent to them. There are others that are going to be even more so risque or vulgar, or have other things that generally people might find offensive. So the idea that, well, we're going to be the judge of what is disturbing, for lack of a better word. They used a different word for it, but they were basically saying we will judge what is disturbing and what is not, and that will find its way on there. And as a platform, that's really an unacceptable stance for many people, because we all know how how that's going to go in one direction. All right, that will not be equally enforced. And so there are many people that said, "Hey, you know what? Let's find an alternative. And if there isn't an alternative, let's create one." And so that's why I say that of all of the things that have come out over these last couple of weeks, This little $3 PDF, 18-page 3DF, is probably one of the most impactful things I've seen in quite some time. And for it to come out near the tail end of Pride Month, and for it to create this level of conversation and controversy is is a credit to the fact that there are so many people engaged in our hobby and very passionate about our hobby, that whether you agree with Venger's, his approach, or his tact or lack of tact in doing things, it really does. I think it's a positive that we can come from very different directions, and still be involved in the same hobby, and and just make the decisions on our own. Hey, this is something that I don't like, I'm not going to purchase it, or this is something that I really support, and no matter what, I'm going to find a way to support it, and through purchasing it, or doing a video about it, or whatever. Am I exactly 100% on the same political spectrum as Venger Satanis? No, probably not. But do I support putting out good products? Yeah, he puts out excellent products, and I can separate what is out there and usable, in his products, and his politics necessarily. So, again, it's a really interesting thing. If you want to get a copy of it, you could reach out to him in a number of ways and get a copy of it. Like I said, it was like $3. I paid a little bit more because I just wanted to support what he was doing. And I hope you like this video. I'm sure I'll probably get some thumbs down over this video, and that's fine. Not everyone is going to agree, but let's keep on putting in the passion that we have in this hobby, no matter what direction you're coming in on it. And and sometimes conflict is a good thing, because it gets people talking about the hobby in the way of saying, controversy is sometimes healthy, and and when it brings everyone together, even in an argument, they're really looking at it in a way of what is best for the overall health of the hobby. And I think creativity and differences, and celebrating differences of opinion, and and reaction is an important thing for the hobby to continue moving forward. So once again, thanks for joining. I hope you liked this video. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the comments section. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up. If you didn't like it, give it a thumbs down, but at least explain what you didn't like about it. If you haven't subscribed, please consider subscribing. And as always, I look forward to seeing you on a gaming screen sometime soon. You'll have a great afternoon, and take care.